Hi everyone. First things, thank you for having me tonight, and thank you for coming. It's kind of a big group. I'm very impressed that a lot of people showing up. My name is David Avella. I'm a design technology specialist at HOK. Most of the time I'm working in Ottawa in charge of the renovation of the Parliament Hill, the center block, and but also I am, aside of that, I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm working in a specific project that is basically I'm gonna say that slow, that is a deployable structure, like think like it's a big umbrella that can open and close, and I use generative design and Industry 4.0 to have that prototype ready for kind of building in the next generation. So today I'm going to talk about some of the strategies that I've been using for implementing the computational design in a design office, a standard design office. That is basically I've been talking about more like what is the experience to engage the designers and the architects in those kind of things that the last presenter that we talked to you, and you guys are more familiar with that. But if you are in a real environment, in a real workflow, those kind of things are not very familiar for all of our co-workers or our partners that we work together to build the project. So this is kind of the big things that I'm working on. So basically my experience is more like in the strategy, instead of being part of the deep knowledge of each of the software, like what can I do with Revit, what can I do with Dynamo. My part of the on this in the business is to coordinate what is the being deliverable and what is the being requirement. And from my personal experience, I noticed that is a very big gap between what can be deliverable and what is the requirement. It's basically because when you jump into different platforms, you lose a lot of data. That's the main thing that we're trying to coordinate, an effort to reduce the loss of data and create a workflow that move all of the information all together. Doesn't matter which platform are you using, Dynamo, Grasshopper, Revit, Rhino, whatever. So give me 1 second. Usually, when you engage in a design process, you be part of in any stage, in the early stage of the design process, or the latest one that is kind of for visualization or show to the client. Usually, you see your architect or your engineer coming out with a sketchy idea of what they're looking for, but most of that because the mentality is to work in a graphic environment, but in those days there is a lot of data that is coming like a big wave to the our design teams, and like there is a lot of information that, okay, here is your solar design analysis, here is your energy design quantities. All of that information for the design team is not easy to capture, is not easy to assimilate. So basically what you see is the design teams barely work with what they know, and in a graphic environment, all of this big data, it's not easy to translate or transform it. That's, but later, like previous you see, there's a lot of tools that can help us to definitely bring data from different sources to and bring them into our design environment, like or Revit or Rhino or any design, or even SketchUp that some early designers use SketchUp for kind of build the first ideas. And then you guys come up with your Dynamo world that can leverage all of that data and bring it into the design. And usually this is what happened in a design meeting or in a design shop. The architect is kind of different point of views, you know. The architect have an idea what you are doing, but it's mostly understanding that you are doing a lot of math, a lot of calculation. I don't know how you code that thing. I don't want to touch any of those nodes because I don't understand how it works. It's not a 3D element. I don't want to touch it. You're mounting that you are a magician and you are a lot of magic with your nodes, and the project managers have a completely different idea what you can accomplish with using having a lot of those conference and training costs that give you a very specific knowledge of the tools. And at the end, what we need is, and here I go with my standard PowerPoint graphics. So, but I want to focus on the words more like the pictures. So, what we need to, or what I'm doing in a design process is to engage the designers and engineers and architects or technicians or anyone that is involved in any phase of the design process. Like thinking about this is a collaboration process where our design can be improved because there is a concept that I call validation. That is, in an early stage of design, it's not easy to capture how to validate that an idea is going to be good or bad for the whole process. And going back and forward with ideas in a graphic environment is not easy because most of the stuff is destructive. So you have to build it again in another way to get the validation process. So those tools will help us. So here is the first objective is use these tools to generate that collaboration and create that validation process. And what exactly I'm kind of getting as experience is instead of being successful implementing on have everyone engaged in any of these computational design tools, it's more like to be effective, or the effectiveness is more like it's two things, that what you can produce and in which capacity you can produce that. So it's kind of a balance between what actually the tool can do and how you can help the designers to accomplish the goals that they're looking for. And the last objective is an interdependency. That, I mean, when you show your work with computational design, nobody can touch that because nobody understands what is going inside that, and is kind of something that is difficult to understand at the beginning. But if you show how easily the things can be changed or how they can affect or the parameters that you are building in your computational design process, is going from dependency that they depend on you and to go to interdependency that they can actually teach you how to do something that you probably haven't think about it, right? And the last objective is if you get knowledge. I took this picture because it's something that we can bring from another industry, the export industry. They do a lot of metrics, and it's exactly what we need to implement in the design, in all of the phases of the design. Most of the time you see the designers working in a kind of intuitive way until they reach a point in the detail of the design that they actually need to do metrics. They actually need to do kind of validate the ideas again. So, but that can be done from the beginning. So what I said is, if you give knowledge, you teach how to do, and you engage people in that process, they definitely it's gonna help you, and definitely it's gonna give you ideas that you can kind of interact each other and have the design in a more productive way, instead of kind of a reaction that I need the solar study by tomorrow. Okay, let's jump into Dynamo right away and do it in half an hour. So those kind of things can be done during in all of the phases of the project. So here is basically the 7 strategies. The first one is be proactive and try to find a place where you can interact with the designers in any stage of the design, either so early or either later in a process that is being done for a long time. So be proactive and look at instead of react or in things that they need to be done right away. So just be proactive and look for engagement, early engagement. That's what I'm looking for. The second strategy is define your end game. Probably you know this you have seen this strategy before. It's just look for goals that you can actually be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. So don't try to accomplish the whole project in just one platform, or try to make everything in just one Python code. So those kind of things can be achievable in the time during all the phases of the project, and also it helps to simplify the way that you show your process to the designers or to the architects. The third one is balance your skills. This one is basically spend the time in the things that are really going to help the project. Sometimes, I know it's happened to me before, you spend a lot of time coding or making things that at the end can be part of a standard workflow, but not helping at all the project that you're working on right now. So at some point, you need to focus on the things that really matters for your ongoing processes, and in any other time you can go deep into those things that you really have in mind for later on. The fourth one is seek mutual benefit. The first third one is align. It's more like what is your attitude, what is your position in front of the design team, and the other one is more like how the team can interact with you. So this one, it's just look at what is your relationship with the design team, what you can help them, and what you can get from them. It's like a sharing knowledge, and in that way you can have a very rich process where you get information that you may don't know before, and also they get the knowledge that you need, that they can help themselves to use the tool for the design process. The fifth one is understand to be understood. Most of the time you get those sketches and they say, oh, I need you to get the picture in the other side by tomorrow. So you say, how I can accomplish that thing? So most of the time it's important to kind of put in the boots of the other person, the designer or the architect, and try to understand the mentality, and that way they can understand that they need to give you more information, or they need to give you more details, that with more information that you can use to get what they're looking for. And the sixth one, it's synergy. That is basically some people that are very deep knowledge on those tools, they think that they can get everything from that tool, instead of trying to accomplish the same goal using different tools, even the old-fashioned drawings or another element that can help you to accomplish the same thing. Synergy is more like don't try to do everything in one place. It's more like try to enrich your idea, your concept, your tool with different type of level of information. That's what I'm all about. And the last one is just basically sometimes there's problems that are so difficult to solve, and I found myself that when I go in deep and in a problem that it's something that is not going well at the end, if you go outside a little bit and think in another different thing, or another problem, or even just go and do something else, probably your brain do a reset and get everything. When you get back to work, you get you get fresh knowledge of everything back, and probably you will find the solution of what you're looking for. So the last one, I just encourage you to don't go very deep in the knowledge of the tool. So try to leave time to just do something else, like listen music or go to museum or do something else that can give you different concepts of different ideas that you later on can implement in your tools, and it's gonna enrich your processes. So the conclusion is basically here is your architect or your designer, and you have to go to digitalization or you have to go to digitalization. There's no more options. And I know sometimes they tell you, oh, I need the drawings, I need the PDF with the flat drawings, and it's something that sometimes is frustrated, because you already have everything built in parameters, with parameters in 3D, and with a lot of visualization tools that they can use to still going the processes in 3D, and they're just looking for the 2D drawings. So this is, I know these strategies can help to understand what is going on in the industry and what's going to be the future of the implementation of those kind of design tools. Yeah, that's it. Thank you so much.